Hey, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Parenting Puzzle Podcast with the amazing Dr. Owen. Dr. D, how's the voice?
It's coming back. I'm so sorry that we couldn't record last week because I was voiceless.
So, if you were out there looking for a new episode of the Parenting Puzzle Podcast last Wednesday, it's all Dr. D's fault that we didn't have one. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're feeling better. You sound great. You look great. This is going to be an amazing episode. So today on the podcast, we have a great friend of mine that I've met recently, Amanda. She is stay-at-home mom of 3 little kids, all under 4, right, Amanda?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So Amanda wanted to come on the podcast, and she had a few questions, and I was like, you know what? You would love Dr. D. She's the absolute best, and I think you guys would get along like peanut butter and jelly. So Amanda, why don't you introduce yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about your family and your story with the family, and then we'll just hop right into your question.
Absolutely. So as you said, my name's Amanda. I am an Army wife. My husband has been in the Army Reserves for 15 years. We have been married for 11 of those years. We waited probably 7 years before we started having children. And so we have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 18-month-old. So we just waited a while to have kids and then had all the kids together. So we have 2 girls, and our son is the youngest. And we love just doing life together. I stay home with them now. I used to be a litigation paralegal until April of this year. And so now I'm home with them all the time. So I joke and I say I've been habitually pregnant and breastfeeding for the last 5 years. And so that will actually be a good transition into my question. Great. Because I didn't wean my first 2 because my supply was dried up by the end of my first trimester with being pregnant my second and third time. So my youngest and my only boy is the first one that I'm like actively trying to wean. Like I said, 5 years, guys. I'm ready to have ownership and control over my body autonomy again. And we're trying to get rid of all the daytime nursing. And unfortunately, my son is just not taking it very well. And so nap time is just very emotional and very stressful. There's a lot of tears on his end and on my end. Because, it's just hard to hear your baby cry and ask for something that you could probably give them. It's like right there. It'd be so easy. But at the same time, I'm ready to go on to the next chapter. And so that was one of my questions I wanted to talk with Dr. D today about.
Great question. So it's the sort of nursing nap time transition that's been the challenge. So tell me a little bit more, if you would, just a few more sentences about what is the actual challenge. So I'm hearing crying leading up to the nap, but is your little guy having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up frequently? Like, tell me a little bit more about what's happening and what have you done to help him get down that maybe has worked or hasn't worked?
Yeah, so we've gotten rid of all of the daytime feedings, and the nap time was the last one to drop. And we still nurse at bedtime. So at first I thought it was just like the confusion of not understanding we're no longer nursing at nap because it's the same sleep cues. We're in the rocking chair, we're rocking, and he'll ask for milk. And I'll just like tell him no, and he's tired, so he'll cry. He'll, kind of fight me a little bit, like moving around a lot, asking for milk. And this is like a 15 to 45 minutes has been the longest one, where so I'll try and rock him. I tried changing locations to maybe give like a different cue. So we would stand up and, so I would then sway with him a little bit there. I tried like laying in bed with him, like next to him in his bed, because he is in a big a twin bed on the floor, like a floor bed. So he's not in the crib anymore. He's in his own room. So he's in a separate room. And yeah, so we always do lunch beforehand. And he hasn't had a bottle since he left daycare back in April. So, because I had some people say, like, maybe try giving him a bottle of like cow milk before or while I'm trying to get him down, but he hasn't had a bottle since April. And yeah, so we've tried all of those things. On the weekends, I basically just make my husband put him down, and he does a lot better with my husband because he knows he's not going to get any milk from my husband. And so that seems to work a little bit better, but obviously my husband works during the day. So I'm home with him and it's just me. So he will go down and he'll sleep for like an hour and then he'll wake up. And so then I have to go back in there and soothe him. And then he'll go back to sleep and he'll finish out his nap at that point. And then he's also been starting to wake up overnight now as well, whereas before he slept through the night.
Okay. Okay. And he takes one nap per day or two?
He takes one nap a day.
Nap a day. Okay. 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 So, yep. I mean, there's definitely a sleep transition happening right now, right? And does he use any kind of like pacifier or anything else to soothe? Any kind of like loveys or sounds?
No, unfortunately, he's my only kid who did not take, like, we've tried all the pacifiers and like he'll take them every once in a while. Yeah, it's been wild. My kids took like this like contraption called a mushroom. So we tried mushrooms, we tried the like loveys, like the wooden circles that have the cloth on them. We recently introduced some stuffed animals to like give him like a stuffy, which sometimes that works, but most of the time it's more of a distraction and will keep him awake than actually
play with it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So, okay. So you're doing a lot of things right. Let me just point out what you're doing well so far. So eating first. So sometimes, so the milk provides two things. The nursing provides two things, right? So it provides nutrition and it provides soothing. And sometimes kids are like going to bed with that full tummy can help them sleep for longer. So like you're having lunch before, so you're doing that. That's great. So he's going down with a full tummy. That's really helpful. 18 months is around where kids transition from 2 naps to 1. So you've got the 1 nap and consolidating those 2 hours at 1 nap time. So that's great. That's something that you want to be thinking about. I do think that it might be too hard to have you like to have him kind of laying on you either for rocking or swaying or anything, because the placement of his head is so close to your chest that it's really hard with the nursing on both of you. And so I think your idea of like getting down to the bed is a great one. You might consider, instead of laying down, kind of like trying to do a little gentle back rub or back tickle if he likes that sort of thing, because the other part of nursing is soothing. And so really what we want to help him do is transition from depending entirely on you for soothing to doing some self-soothing. And so you want to kind of get him into that zone of relaxation, right? So as you pointed out, the pacifier is a version of self-soothing. So it might be that your youngest is just not as big of a self-soother, and that's okay. Of course, that makes it more difficult for parents. It means a little bit more trial and error in trying to find those soothers. You might also, because you're nursing at bedtime, so little kids, toddlers and little kids are so routinized, right? And so one of the things that might be happening is it's the same thing going to sleep, but it's a slightly different routine, but not that different. And that might be creating a little bit of confusion for your little guy, or expectation is maybe a better word. He's expecting the nursing because that's one of the things that he gets at bedtime. And so what you can consider two things, and it's always, in my mind, it's always a parent's choice about nursing. You make your decisions, what works for you. And it's good to, be thinking you want body autonomy. That's a great way to get it, right? So you might consider just like kind of going cold turkey and stopping the nursing altogether. And then the routine is not going to involve the nursing, so it can kind of stick with something soothing with you and him, like a back rub or a little back tickle or something, a little head massage kind of thing. And then you might introduce other elements. Now, if you want to keep the evening nurse, I would keep like the rocking and nursing as your evening pre-bed routine. And I might make the nap time routine a little bit different. Like, for example, maybe you read a book and sing a song that you only sing before nap. So it starts to create a new routine and a new behavior chain in his mind. So it doesn't involve nursing. So it's lunch and then whatever other things you do. And then, you're going to have a little song and a little book and a little back rub. And then you're going to get up and leave the room. Right. So there's going to be this totally different chain, still soothing, still relaxing, still comforting and loving, but not rocking, not having his head right on your chest, and not having it be the same as nighttime if you're going to still nurse at night. If you want to cut the nighttime nurse, then you can make the routine the same at both times so that he just comes to learn that this is the pre-sleep routine. There's no right or wrong to it. The one thing I want to encourage you to do is to create a behavior chain that he starts to associate with falling asleep. And, I think that with him waking up, there's not too much I can suggest to do because he's not hungry. That was the one thing I was listening for. Like, oh, maybe he's hungry. Maybe you do need to do a little milk before the nap. But if he's not hungry, then I would just encourage you to do that like kind of last piece of the routine. So the kind of rubbing the back or the little head massage, maybe a little humming of that song. You want to keep that interaction as short and as little like a little interaction as possible. So because you don't want him waking up and then having to come back to bed, right? So what we know from the research on this is as little interaction as possible. Just I'm here, I love you, you're okay, go back to bed, nap time is not over. Right? And then just like a little soothing, kind statement, a little physical connection, a little bit of love, and then you're okay, you've got this, right? Because we do want him to believe he can do this, right? You've got this. You're a great napper. I'll see you after nap, right? And then same thing in the nighttime. You've got this. I'll see you after. It's still sleep time. It's still see you in the morning. I love you, right? So keep it brief. It's so easy for us to get pulled in and give them more or talk more, but you really want to try to keep it brief because you want them to stay really sleepy and just get that cue from you. I'm here, right? Because if sometimes, like as kids become toddlers, become little kids, become bigger kids, there are going to be times that their sleep is going to get interrupted. They're going to get a little scared about something or just hear something and awaken. And so you just want to give them that reassurance and comfort, and then you want to get out of there so that they can get themselves back to sleep. Is that making sense?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's so funny because my husband, just like he suggested this weekend, so my son was just not wanting dad at all, and he only wanted me. So I had to go up there, but then even when I went up there, he would not like settle down for a little bit. And so my husband was cuddling our 3-year-old, getting her down for her nap. And he like heard like what I've been dealing with during the week. And so he finally said, why don't you just be done, like cold turkey it and like just be done. And I was like, well, I have a trip coming up and not like in like 2 weeks where I'm going by myself. And he was like, why don't you just make that your goal? That when you leave for that trip, then you're just going to be done all together. And I'm like, okay. But at the same time, it makes you really nervous because I worry how he's going to handle that.
So chances are he's going to handle it well. That doesn't mean it won't be hard, but that sort of like clean break tends to work well because usually it's us, the parents, who have a really hard time tolerating our little ones' distress. And so we end up like taking it away, giving it back, taking it away, giving it, because it's so hard to see them in distress. Like you said,
Right.
he's crying and you can give him what he wants. It's so hard to hold steady and not do that. If you're physically not there, you can't. And little kids transition with changes, toddlers transition with changes relatively quickly. So chances are by the time you're back from your trip, it will be much easier on you because the new routine will have been set. So I think that sounds like a really great idea.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, I would still solve for the nap one starting now.
Okay.
Hey, and maybe on your trip you can have your own body autonomy.
I know.
And have some
right?
maybe have a second glass of coffee. Is that a thing? That you can only have one coffee?
Yeah, like because of the caffeine.
Oh yeah. So you could up it to 2 cups a day. That'd be awesome for everybody involved. Okay. That was great, Dr. D. Are you ready for the last word with Dr. D?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Okay, so transitions with toddlers can be really, really tough when you're talking about nap time. There are 2 things that you want to consider if you're having a hard time getting your little one down for a nap or sleep. The first is, are they hungry? So if you are doing naps at a time where they haven't recently eaten, having them have a little bit of cow's milk if you're doing that in your family, or a little snack before eating, can make sure they go down with a full tummy, and that can really help them with falling asleep and staying asleep. If they are going to sleep, like Amanda's little one is going to sleep after lunch. So if that's not the case, the other thing you want to be thinking about is soothing. So you want to help your little one soothe, and creating a routine is the very best way to do it. Little ones are so dependent on routine and structure. And so having a song, a book, a little back rub, or a little head massage, you could even have a little thing where you tuck a little stuffy into their arms as they're laying there, something that gives them comfort and that they can come to depend on. Is this is how we know sleep is happening. And then you can say something simple like, time for your nap, I love you. Give a little kiss and leave the room. If they come back and if they wake up and you need to come back in, you say, nap time is not over, I love you. Give a little kiss and leave the room. So you want to be able to make those transitions as quick as possible and communicate as little as possible so that they can get on with the napping, and then just stick with it. That's one of the hardest things as parents. If they are having some distress and you know they're safe and they're okay and you're there, try not to be present so that they can get into the habit of self-soothing. That's going to become a life skill that they need to start developing in toddlerhood.
All right.
I think the first few days are going to be hard, Amanda, but then after that, it's going to be smooth sailing.
I mean, anything's better than the last 3 weeks, so we're gonna try it.
Your body, your choice. All right, guys. If you enjoyed this podcast and you got a lot of out of it, just like I hope Amanda did, I know I always take stuff out of it, Dr. D, because you're amazing. Please, there's so many things that you could do to help. You can like the podcast, you could share the podcast, you can listen to it for more than 10 seconds. That'd be also very helpful. Amanda, thank you so much for doing this. You were amazing. I think we might have you back again one day. All right, guys. Y'all have a great day. Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving us a review. It really helps us out and lets others discover the show.